Welcome to Keeping It Real Movies, where we go over all the movies and give you the real.
This movie is f***ing trash. Save your money. Save your life. Don't see that. Spend it on, go spend that on a prostitute.
She-Hulk was trash. Madam Web was trash. The Acolyte was trash. But the Joker, too.
Oh, you must love this. Okay. All right. I'm putting cases on all you bitches. Huh? You think you can do this? Jay! You think you can do this to me? You little punks will be playing basketball in...
It's not trash. YouTubers are saying it's the worst movie they ever saw, but it's the same thing you said about the other movies I mentioned. Stop the cat. I'm going after all you haters. The iconic comedy and tragic masks known as the Thalia, the laughing mask, and the Melpomene, the weeping mask, have their origins in Greek theater. These masks represent two fundamental genres of Greek drama, comedy and tragedy. Actors wore exaggerated masks to depict the wide range of characters and emotions, enhancing visibility and expression in large amphitheaters. Thalia, the muse of comedy, embodies joy and laughter, while Melpomene, the muse of tragedy, symbolizes sorrow and despair. These masks have endured through centuries as symbols of the theatrical arts, and capitalizing the emotion of the spectrum that theater seeks to portray. They remind us of the dual nature of the human experience, capturing both the highs and lows in a single timeless image. Thalia, the muse of comedy, could represent Arthur's initial attempts to find joy and purpose through his career as a stand-up comedian. Despite the troubles of social rejection, he clings to laughter and dreams of making others laugh. This mask symbolizes the facade of happiness he wears to hide his internal turmoil. Melpomene, the muse of tragedy, symbolizes Arthur's tragic descent into chaos and violence. As the story unfolds, the mask of the comedy slips, revealing the depth of his despair and darkness within him.
I haven't been happy 1 minute of my entire life. You know what's funny? You know what really makes me laugh? I used to think that my life was a tragedy, but now I realize it's a comedy.
The tragedy mask embodies the pain, suffering, and inevitable breakdown of his psyche, leading to the creation of the Joker persona. Arthur's tragedy is also rooted in his abusive relationships. The guards mistreat him reflects society's callous indifference to mental health. Their abuse dehumanizes him as they take his manhood, and it pushes him further into isolation and despair. His mother's betrayal is perhaps the most heartbreaking. Discovering her role is his trauma shatters Arthur's last ties to normalcy, depending on his psychological wounds. Friends, or those who perceive as such, exploit and betray Arthur, reinforces his sense of worthlessness and mistrust. Harley Quinzel, known as Harley Quinn, is a figure in his life. Her relationship with Arthur isolates between manipulation and toxic dependency, mirroring the abusive patterns he's endured. Each layer of abuse compounds Arthur's suffering, leading to his ultimate transformation into the Joker. His character is a poignant reflection on how societal and personal failures can create a cycle of trauma and violence, making Arthur not a villain, a deeply tragic figure. And when he denounces the Joker and finally looks in the mirror, taking responsibility for what he did, I killed those people. I did this, not the Joker. You see, that's when he becomes a real hero. But instead of being respected by this, he is shunned by everyone, including the only one he loved, Harley Quinn. because he can no longer provide a service for them by entertaining their fantasy, Arthur is taking his identity back when his only true friend, Gary Puddles, tells Arthur that he is afraid of him. He sees the Joker persona as a killer, and which Arthur is now ashamed of. Arthur just didn't want to be invisible and alone. Now he's famous and he's found a lover, but by what cost? Of losing himself? Well, now he doesn't want it, so he's deconstructing what he created. And later on, he is murdered by the same system that failed him. James Holmes, the perpetrator of the 2012 Aurora theater shooting, is often cited as a tragic example of the dangers of sensationalizing and idolizing violent figures like the Joker. Holmes' actions, which resulted in the deaths of 12 people and injuries to 70 others, were reportedly influenced by his fascination with the Joker character. The intense media coverage and public fascination with Holmes' crime turned him into a notorious figure, giving him the infamy he sought. This phenomenon highlights the dark side of sensationalism, which the focus on the spectacle of the violence can inspire copycat behavior. By glorifying and sensationalizing criminals, society risks creating a culture where individuals like Holmes see infamy as a way to achieve recognition and validation. The term folie à deux, shared madness, suggests that his madness is not an isolated case, but a reflection of a broader societal sickness, the madness of the individual who commits the act, and the madness of a society who sensationalizes the act. For example, Harley Quinn's character puts clown makeup on the Joker and says, "I want to see the real you." The irony in that is so pathetic, just like the sex scene portrays, sexualizing the Joker. The sequel holds up a mirror to the audience, exposing the way society glorifies criminals and bad men, turning them into media sensations and cult figures. The film questions why society is so captivated by violence and chaos, rather than seeking to understand and remedy the conditions that create such figures. These movies transcend typical superhero and villain narratives by taking a deep dive into the human psyche and the social factors that shaped individuals like Arthur Fleck. Phoenix's haunting performance adds layers of complexity to the character, making this transformation into a Joker both tragic and terrifying. My problem with the film, it is mostly the musical style and Harley Quinn's portrayal. If you're going to make a musical, make it amazing, memorable, or don't do it at all. The musical numbers were either annoying to me or not necessary. Also, I wish the movie was more of a comic book accurate representation. Give the audience what they wanted. It seems like that's what they wanted. The use of the Joker name just to sell tickets. Films like these are crucial because they hold a mirror to society, exposing its dark underbelly and the consequences of neglect, isolation, and sensationalism. By spotlighting how society can idolize and sensationalize figures like the Joker, they challenge the viewers to reflect on their own roles and participating in these narratives. Mental illness and societal decay forces audience to confront the uncomfortable truth about the world we live in. These films aren't just great cinematic achievements, they are important cultural critiques that provoke thought and discussion about the deep-seated issues within our society. Todd Phillips didn't even try to make a comic book movie, but what he made is so much deeper. And that is keeping it real.